Hey, what's up guys? Brian Kelly here from Zombie Guitar. Today's video is for the noodler. So if you are someone that puts on a backing track and you have the tendency to just noodle up and down the neck of the guitar, you're pretty good at staying in key. You know how to solo in key. You know how to noodle in key up and down the neck of the guitar using the various different scale patterns. But you don't really pay attention to the chords too much. You kind of do the same stuff all the time. All of your licks and phrases tend to sound the same. It doesn't really matter what the specific progression is that you're soloing over. You just kind of focus on the key, but you don't focus on the chord changes, and as a result your lead playing doesn't really sound very connected to the underlying chord progression that you're soloing over. So if that sounds like you, this video is for you. So in this video we're going to talk about three different soloing pathways. Number one, we're going to talk about the scale path. Number two, we're going to talk about the arpeggio path. And then number three, we're going to talk about the hybrid, which is like a hybrid of the scale and the arpeggio. And yeah, this is really going to hopefully open up your playing for leads, improvs, written solos, all that kind of stuff. Alright, so today's lesson is going to be in the key of E minor. So we're going to be soloing over an E power chord, a D power chord, and a C power chord. Each chord is going to last for 2 bars. So no matter what key you're in, there's always just going to be 7 notes in the key. We're in the key of E minor, so the 7 notes for the key of E minor are E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D. Alright, so here you see all the notes of the E minor scale spanned up and down the entire neck of the guitar. So here's all your E's, F sharps, G's, A's, B's, C's, and D's, all up and down the entire neck of the guitar. So the first path that we're going to focus on is going to be the scale path. So we're just going to look at the first chord change. We're going to be moving from the E chord to the D chord. So the first set of exercises that we're going to do are going to have the goal of getting us from this note right here, which is the note E, 7th fret of the A string, and we're trying to get to here, which is the note F sharp, which is the 14th fret of the high E string. The reason I'm choosing those two notes is because those are chord tones. The first chord is an E chord, so E is a chord tone of E, and then we're moving to a D chord. So this represents a D major chord in the key of E minor. You can look at your circle of fifths to see where your in-key chords are. You see that you have a D major chord in the key of E minor. So a chord tone of the D major chord is the note F sharp. So I'm going to try and get from this chord tone here, which is the note E, to this chord tone up here, which is the note F sharp, and I'm going to time it such that by the time I get to the F sharp, that's exactly when the chord change is going to occur. So I'm just going to be using a series of eighth notes. So the timing of the rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So eighth notes are going to be 2 for every click. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So since each chord lasts for 2 bars or 2 measures, or for a count of 8, I'm trying to fit 16 notes from here to here. All right, so the first way I'm going to do that is by the scale path. So let's take the scale path. So I could just stay right here in this little box pattern. So if you count those notes, this note right here, F sharp, that's the 17th note. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Then the 17th note, that's right there on the that F sharp note. So instead of doing that, instead of staying within this box pattern, I'm going to move in more of a diagonal type of fashion. So I'm still going to be playing the exact same run. It's still going to be the same notes. I'm just going to do a shift to a couple other positions. So that's going to be like this. It's still 16 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. By the 17th note, we're here. The next path is going to be the arpeggio path. So again, we're going to be starting on the E chord, which represents an E minor chord, and we're trying to get to the D chord, which represents a D major chord, because those are the in-key chords for the key of E minor. So we're still trying to get from this note E to this note F sharp right here, and I'm still going to do the same timing, so I'm still going to be using eighth notes So I'm still going to be trying to fit in 16 notes before ultimately getting here on the 17th note. But I'm just going to take a different pathway. Instead of the scale path, I'm going to take the arpeggio path. So this is the E minor arpeggio I'm going to take because we're on the E minor chord to start out, moving to the D major chord. So I'm going to take the E minor arpeggio path, which is right here. And then right there, there's that F sharp again. So the E minor arpeggio path is just the notes that make up the E minor chord, E, G, and B. So all those are E's, G's, and B's. E, G, B, E, G, B, E, G, and then there's that F sharp. So this next path is what I refer to as the hybrid path. So technically this is called an add 9 arpeggio, but I kind of just think of it as like a scale arpeggio hybrid because we still have the E minor arpeggio notes in there. We're still getting the E, G, and B in there, so we're still going to be very connected to that E minor chord, but we're just throwing in one additional note, and that's called the 9. The 9 is also the same thing as the 2, because when you see 9s and 11s and 13s and stuff like that, that's just coming from the second octave. So if you write out your scale in 2 octaves, you're always going to see that the 2 is the same note as the 9. So we're basically just adding in a note that is one whole step higher than the root. So the root is E, so we're going to be adding in this note right here, which is F sharp. So the way that this path works is you have 3 notes on one string, then you have one note all by itself on the next string. That's going to be where the 5 takes place at. Then on the next string, you have 3 notes again. And then on the next string, you're just going to have one note all by itself. That's where the 5 is. And then on the next string, you're going to have 3 notes in order again. So this path is going to look like this. All right, so in order to make it fit into this whole 8th note thing, so I can fit 16 notes in there, the run that I came up with was like this. So that was the run that I came up with. And then I'm still landing on that one note on the 17th note because that's the exact moment that the chord change occurs, moves to the D chord, so that chord tone targeting is still taking place. So you can see in all 3 of those examples, I started here on this note E, and I ended here on this note F sharp. I added exactly 16 notes over the E chord. By the time I got to the F sharp note, that was the 17th note, because it's 2 measures, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but I was playing 8th notes, so 1N, 2N, 3N, 4N. So that's a total of 16 notes that I was trying to fit over the E minor chord, and then by the 17th note, I was ending up here. So you could do 16th notes if you want, you can do triplets if you want, you can do 16th note triplets if you want. You can mix it up, it really doesn't matter. I'm just trying to show you the pathways that you can take getting from point A to point B. That's the whole objective here. So if you like this video and you want to check out some more of my stuff, stop by and check out my website, zombieguitar.com. Zombieguitar.com has been my labor of love for the past 7 years. It's something I've been working on nonstop for 7 years now, and I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I also have a Patreon page, which I just started working on about 6 months ago. I have about 55 videos on Patreon as of now. By the end of 2022, I expect to have about 155 videos because I add about 2 videos per week to my Patreon page. So if you want to check those things out, links to that stuff is below. Let's get on to the lesson. All right, so now we're going to take the same 3 concepts and we're going to apply them starting on the D chord and then moving to the C chord. So we're still in the same key here. We're still in the key of E minor. So the D power chord represents a D major chord. The C power chord represents a C major chord. You can use your circle of fifths to verify this. In the key of E minor, the E power chord represents an E minor chord. The D power chord represents a D major chord. C power chord represents a C major chord. So my starting point is going to be this note right here, this note F sharp. That's a chord tone of the D major chord. And then my ending point, or by the time I get to the C chord, my goal is to get to this note right here, which is the note E. The notes of a C major chord are C, E, and G. So the F sharp is a chord tone of the D major chord. The E the note E is a chord tone of the C major chord. So first I'm going to take the scale path, and I'm in the key of E minor. So the scale that I'm taking is the E minor scale. I don't need to switch up to different scales or anything. There's no out of key chords being used. So I'm still using the E minor scale as my path. I just have specific notes of focus within the E minor scale. That's what chord tone targeting is all about. So specific note of focus number 1 is the F sharp note. Specific note of focus number 2 is the note E, because we're moving from the D chord to the C chord. So the scale path is going to be like this. Alright, so that's my 16 notes there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. By the time I get here, that's the 17th note. Alright, so now I'm going to start on the note F sharp and then get to the note E, but I'm now going to take the arpeggio path. So the arpeggio path I'm going to be taking this time is going to be the D major arpeggio. So the notes of a D major chord are the notes D, F sharp, and A. So there's D's, F sharps, and A's all up and down the entire neck of the guitar. All of those notes are part of the key of E minor, so we're not using any out of key stuff here. So I'm just going to follow this little arpeggio path right around this area of the guitar. So you have your D major chord found in the C shape up here. So here's an F sharp, D, A, F sharp, D, and then we're going to come down to here, A, and then F sharp. So that's going to be the path I take. So in order to fit 16 notes in there, with this note right here, the note E being the 17th note, because that's the point where I'm going to get to the C chord, fitting 16 notes in here, this is going to be the run that I do. Alright, so now we're going to take that hybrid path again. So, as I said, this is called an add 9 arpeggio. So really we're just adding one single note to the D major arpeggio. The reason we're using a D major arpeggio is because we're starting on the D major chord, and then we're moving to a C chord. So all the run is going to take place over the D major chord, and then we're going to end on a chord tone of the C major chord. So again, I'm going to be fitting 16 notes in here all over this D major chord. So it's the same thing. You have your 1, 2, and 3 are all going to take place on one string. Then you're going to have the 5th all by itself on the next string. Then you're going to move up to the next string. The 1, 2, and 3 are all going to be in the same string. The 5th is going to be all by itself. The next string, you're going to have the 1, 2, and 3 all on the same string. So because this is a major chord now, your 3 is going to be one whole step higher than the 2, whereas for the minor, when we did it over the E minor chord, the 3 was only a half step higher than the 2. So you have your 1, your 2 is still a whole step higher, but now your 3 is yet a whole step higher again because it's a major chord. So our path is this right here, starting on the note D. Alright, so that's going to be our path. 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3. But instead of starting all the way down here, I'm going to start up here because this is where we started the last two exercises from. So I'm going to start here on this note F sharp, and I'm going to make my target note where I want to get to. I want to get to here. All right, so this is a chord tone of the C major chord. Here's your C major bar chord right here, like that. So that's the note G, C, E, and G. Those are the chord tones of the C major chord. So starting note, ending note, and I want to try and fit 16 notes all before I get to here. So the run that I'm going to do is going to be like this. Alright, so the next 3 exercises are just going to be about combining what we've done together so far. So starting on the E chord, moving to the D chord, and then moving to the C chord. First, let's take a look at just doing the scale path. Alright, let's do the same thing now. We're going to connect everything together, but now we're going to focus on the arpeggio path for the 2 chord changes. And then finally, we're going to do the exact same thing, but we're going to focus on the hybrid path for the 2 chord changes. So that's that, all 100% in the key of E minor, just focusing heavily on the chord tones of each underlying chord. That gets your lead playing sounding connected with the rhythm that you're soloing over. So that's going to do it for today's video. Hope you guys liked it. See you next time. Thanks for watching.